This is Hansi Flick's Barcelona in defense. Reckless, chaotic, and apparently self-destructive. Or is it? Because this same crazy defensive system is what delivered a domestic treble last season, and it's the very blueprint Hansi Flick used at Bayern when he swept 6 trophies in a single year. So why does it suddenly look broken? Why is the structure that once terrified Europe now being blamed for every embarrassing defeat this season? Everyone thinks the problem is the high line. I'm telling you it's not. In this video, I'll be uncovering the real tactical issue that is destroying Barcelona's defensive identity and the solution that could completely transform their season. So let's dive in, because I promise you, this is deeper than you think. Now, as I'm sure you know, in football we've got quite a number of defensive tactics. While each of these tactics is distinct in shape and execution, they're rarely used in isolation. Managers would often combine 2 or more to deliver a highly effective defensive system. Liverpool, for example, under Jurgen Klopp, would use a combination of the high press, the high line and the counter press, or Gegenpress as it's called in Germany. But for the sake of this video, we are going to focus solely on Barcelona's defensive strategy. Now, Hansi Flick's Barcelona used the same combination as Klopp's Liverpool with the exception of one little tweak. But before we get to this, it's essential to make an important distinction. Now, when you play in a mid-block or a high line, both systems require the team to push up the pitch. The key difference, however, is that with the mid-block, you are pushing up with the intention to choke the midfield in order to stifle the opponent's creativity. The intent is primarily to stop them from hurting you. In a high line, however, the intent is not necessarily to choke the midfield, but to push the play so high up the pitch that you force a turnover in possession nearer to the opponent's goal, allowing you to get through on goal with the least amount of touches. See? So what are some benefits of the high line? Well, for one, it compresses the pitch, making it difficult for the opponent to create chances. It also helps the attacking team to win the ball in dangerous areas, and in the process keeps the opponent as far away from your own goal as possible. Now, consequently, it also opens up spaces in behind the defense, leaving the attacking team vulnerable to quick counterattacks, particularly from fast players. This nicely brings us to the next key piece to this puzzle. Now, oftentimes these two get confused and used interchangeably in football analysis. We hear people criticize the high line when really what they should be criticizing is the offside trap. So let's make a distinction between both. Look at this. And then this. The offside trap is a coordinated tactic where the line of defense steps up at the same time to intentionally put the opposing striker in an offside position as the pass is played into them. This is usually triggered when one or more of the opposition's creative players is on the ball and the striker is about to make a forward run. Now, if you've been following Barcelona under Hansi Flick, you will know that this is a very difficult tactic to execute because it depends on 2 things. First, the defensive team have to be astute enough to anticipate when the pass is about to be played. And second, the defensive line must be highly organized to push forward in sync. One player is late to the step up by even a split second and the whole system is flawed. The striker gets in behind and they're almost always one-on-one against the goalkeeper. Now, while you have to be high up the pitch to execute the high line, you can trigger the offside trap from anywhere in your own half. Of course, this is because the opposition player cannot be offside in its own half. Look at this, for example. Barcelona attempt the offside trap right in their own penalty box. It fails on this occasion because Kubasi is late to push up. Cucurella receives the ball in an onside position and Chelsea go on to score. And this right there is the main problem with Barcelona's backline. It's not that they can't play with the high line, it's the fact that they don't effectively execute the offside trap. And you might say, well, how come they did it so well the season before? Well, last season, teams weren't used to Barcelona playing in this way. Now, the element of surprise is gone. Teams coordinate whole training sessions specifically devising tactics to break the offside trap. And so all of a sudden, there is a need for Barcelona to modify and enhance the effectiveness of this tactic. So how can Barcelona do this? Look at this sequence. What we need to do here is ditch the offside trap at the halfway line. The offside trap is completely useless here because the opponent cannot be offside in their own half. This is the point where the hunter becomes the hunted, because from this point you're no longer setting the trap, you're now falling into it. A fast player just needs to stand on the line, getting ready for when the pass is played in and the chase begins. This brings me to my second point, the runner. When you play against an extremely quick striker, you need to have a dedicated player in defense that tracks their runs in behind. This could be either Balde or Koundé, someone who is quick enough to at least put them off. Now, speaking of putting them off, let's talk about pressing, because this is where everything either works or collapses. A high line only survives if the press is relentless. You have to suffocate the opponent, close spaces instantly and force mistakes before they can even think about playing the runners in behind. Unfortunately, recently Barcelona haven't been doing that. The press has been slow, uncoordinated and honestly far too passive. And when the front line doesn't press, the high line becomes a suicide mission. But with Rafinha and Pedri now back in the squad, Hansi Flick will be hoping that Barcelona rediscover that identity, pressing with intensity and protecting the high line from quick breaks and counter-attacks. So guys, we've talked about the runner, the line and the press. But there is one more. One last resort that you deploy when all else fails. This is... Guys, the best example of this is Bayern and Germany's goalkeeper, Manuel Neuer. It's when the goalkeeper often acts as the last man in defense to anticipate the pass and run out of his box early enough to intercept the through ball before the forward gets to it. While this can be highly effective, I'm guessing from the sound of it you can already tell that it can also cost you a great deal when it fails. One mistimed run, the striker gets to the ball first and you look like a fish in a desert. This is why not every goalkeeper is equipped to play this role. It's why we struggled with Szczesny. He just can't get around quickly enough to play the sweeper keeper. Luckily for us, we've got Joan Garcia. With youth and awareness on his side, he has the ability to spring forward quickly to snuff out the danger. So what does this all come down to? Well, in a nutshell for me, it's two things: awareness and communication. The backline must be able to communicate effectively with each other to know when to trigger the trap. They need to have a leader, somebody with the awareness to spot the pass and the run, give the signal and the rest follow immediately. This is crucial to being able to make this system work. We also need the players to have the awareness to know when to drop off. This is particularly important in situations where the press from the front is broken or absent. The creative player suddenly has enough time and space on the ball to pick up the perfect pass. You cannot play the offside trap in this situation because you will almost always fail. Now, obviously, this is not a foolproof solution, as every tactic in football will have a weakness. However, this is more of a blueprint to minimize the weaknesses and maximize the strengths. And hopefully our team will be able to get back to their brilliant best in no time. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I ask that you please subscribe, as it really helps the channel grow. Also, feel free to drop your comments down below and let me know if you found this video helpful and what video you'd like to see me make next. In the meantime, I wish you a merry holiday season and see you in the next video.